Okay, so today's the last day. You guys made it, the whole 3 days of online math so far. So today the nines are starting with this video, and then there's going to be a second video about Pythagorean theorem for you guys that the grade 10s will also be doing. So this is all just the grade 9s listening for the composite shapes. So yesterday you guys looked at the diagnostic for the composite shapes, so how to cut up shapes so you can find the area or the perimeter of those. So again, use your formula sheet that I gave you guys. It's super handy. You might as well use it. It's there for you. And it will help you along quite a ways. So when you looked at the composite shapes yesterday, you would have found half of a circle. There were some rectangles, there were some triangles. There were several different shapes that you could cut it into. And then from there, you would find the area of each shape or the perimeter of each shape, and you would go from there. So it's relatively easy. It's a little bit easier than the volume if you get to like cutting up the shape properly. So if we look at our worksheets for today, so the learning goal is to calculate the area of a composite shape. So the area is when you're trying to fill in all of this. So let's say I were to say, hey, Braden, I want to put some rocks in my yard. This is the shape of my yard. So we got to find the area of it. Okay, so that would fill up this whole place. Okay. The perimeter would be to go around. So if I were to say, Connor, I want to put a fence up in my yard. This is the size of my fence. You would find the length of every side, add them all up. So that's the difference between the two. So make sure that you don't get them mixed up. Whereas with the volume, it's a 3D shape. So let's say my can here. So what's the volume of my can? How much juice can I put into it? Okay. So when you look at the shape, there are 3 different ways that you can cut them up to be able to find the area. Oh, I can type it. Okay, perfect. Okay, so there are different possibilities. You don't have to do it this way. Find your own way that works the best for you and just run with it. So the first one is to cut them into, they're pretty even, to be honest with you. They're not too far off. And you find the area of each. So I'm going to type these out, which is going to be super handy and nice. So if you look at the first one, so your A1, okay? So to find the area, all you do is you do the length times the width. Okay, so for A1, our length, if you look here, is going to be 7. And then our width is going to be 3. So don't worry too much about this one because it's a perfect rectangle here, right? So you're just going to do 7 times 3. Okay. And if you do 7 times 3, that gives us 3 centimeters. And it's usually cubed. I'm just going to write it like this. So that just means that the little 2 is at the top. Okay. Now you're going to look at the second one. So the second one's going to be the exact same thing, to be honest with you. And they're the same measurement. So you're going to do length times width. So if you look again, it's just 7 times 3. So it's going to give you the same thing of 21 centimeters squared. Okay. And if we look at our A3 here in the middle, so don't look at this 14. The 14 goes all the way across, and we've already used this 3 and this 3. So you can either do the math, so do 14 minus the 3 that we used already and the 3 that we used there, or you could just look up here. So it is 8. Okay, but you will have to do some math here because they don't give you the length of our rectangle here, right? But we do know that this is 7 and this part is 4. So that means that if we do 7 minus 4, it's going to give us our answer here. So it would be 3. Okay, punch in the calculator. 8 times 3 is 24 centimeters squared. And last but not least, you have to find the total of it. So you're just going to have to add them all together. So what is our A1, our A2, and our A3 put together give us? Okay, so A1 plus A2 plus A3. Okay, so you're going to do 21 plus 21 plus 24. I'm going to try to, okay. And that is going to give us a total of 66 centimeters squared. Okay, here, so I'm going to draw that one out. So just make sure that when you're writing it on your page that you're drawing a squared like this, so the little 2. Okay, so I'm going to clear that. Now there's another way that you can do it. So instead of cutting it like this, you are able to cut it like this, make one huge rectangle and 2 small ones. So the formula is still the same. So it's length times the width. Okay, so if we were to find our A1, our length is here. So this is what we're using. So you don't want to use the 7 because we're not using the rectangle all the way to the bottom like we did with the other one. So it's 4 times and then our 3, which gives us 12 centimeters squared. Okay, A2 is going to be the exact same thing. So again, 4 times 3. 12 centimeters squared. Okay, and then we've got our last shape. So our A3. So here, we're not just calculating up to here, right? We're doing the whole thing. So it'll be 14. Like we said earlier, this was 3. It'll be 14 times 3. And that gives us 42 centimeters squared. And our very last step is to add the total. So we're going to add our A1 plus our A2 plus our A3, which gives us 12 plus 12 plus 42, which adds up to 66 centimeters squared. So if you're getting a different number, I think there's probably something wrong. Okay. Now, the third way is to calculate this whole rectangle. So this whole area, find the area of this part and then subtract. Okay. So it's kind of like as if you had a rectangular cake and Tessa ate the whole inside here. How much cake do we have left? Okay. So to find just our area of our full rectangle, you're going to find the length. So the length is 14 times the width, which is 7. Okay, and that's going to give us 98 centimeters squared. And then our A1, so we're just going to do our 8 times 4. So 8 here, 4 there. And that gives us our 32 centimeters squared. And so our total, like we were saying, you're going to have to subtract this time because you're doing the full rectangle and then this part is missing out. That's not really a part of what we're looking for. So you're going to do 98 minus 32, which again gives us our 66 centimeters. Okay, and don't forget the squared. So it all gave you the exact same amount. Okay. So I'm going to erase that and we're going to go on to the perimeter just real quick and you guys can work on your work. Okay, so this is the area of composite shape. So divide these into shapes. Find the shapes. So maybe find the area of the rectangle and then subtract your circles. So again, you're going to need your formula sheet if you don't know how to find the area of a circle. Same thing here. Okay. So now we're looking at the perimeter of the composite shape. So if you remember previously I had said that the perimeter is if I were to put a fence or if I were to put rocks around or brick, okay? So you're going around, you're not filling in the shapes, you're just going around the shapes, okay? So this is just making sure that you don't forget certain pieces, but the perimeter is the distance around a two-dimensional shape. So you add the side lengths to find the perimeter. Okay, so all you're doing is adding all the shapes. So what I do is I work my way around and make sure I write all the numbers. That way you don't forget anything. If you're doing like 3, 14, 3, 7, 7, you're gonna forget stuff, right? So I work my way around it and just add them in. So if we do 3, 4 plus 8 plus 4 plus 3 plus 7 plus 14 plus 7. Okay, so that way you don't forget numbers. And then you just add them all up, which is not rocket science, I guess. You can use your calculator and it gives you 50 centimeters. So with the perimeter, you are not giving squared or cubed. Okay, so perimeter is just centimeters or whatever units that you use. Area is squared, and then volume is cubed, so it's got the little 3. Okay, so I'm going to clear this. We're going to move forward. So Ben decides he needs some tape to fasten down the plastic sheet he is using to cover the carpet while painting. How much tape will he need? So here we need to find our perimeter. Before we start, you need to make sure that you've got all of your numbers there, or else you're going to kind of forget some. So on this side is the same side as this. So that's going to be 3 meters. This one is the same as here. So this one's going to be 0.5. And then for this length over here, you're going to have to do a little bit of mental math here. So all along here is 7. You subtract 2, so that's 5. You subtract 1, so that's 4. So that means that this little piece right here is equal to 4 meters. Okay. So just that way you don't forget anything. So again, work your way around the shape so you don't forget any numbers. 7 and then 3. And if you add that all up, that gives you 21 meters. And because it's a word problem, you're going to add a therefore statement. So therefore, Ben will need 21 meters of tape. Again, don't square, don't cube. That's it. Okay. We've got 2 more small examples, and then there's some practice questions for you. So I'm going to erase this. So determine, label the missing measurements. Find the perimeter of these composite shapes. So for these guys, I'm sure you've seen them before where the lines on each side means that those are the same. So wherever you see 2 lines like this, it means that they're going to measure 3 meters as well. So if this one's 3 meters, you look here, there's the 2 lines. So that means that this is also 3 meters. This is 3. And this is 3. Okay, and anywhere that there's 1 line, that means that it's 1. Okay, that was an awful one. Okay, so our perimeter, we're just going to add all of our sides. So we're going to go 3 plus 3, 1, 3, plus 1. Okay, and if you add those all up, that gives us 16 meters. For a circle, the perimeter is a tad bit different. There is a formula if you look at your formula sheet. So for a circle, it is 2 pi the rate or the diameter. So this time you don't need to divide the diameter to find the radius. Okay. So then if you do 2 times pi times 18, put that into the calculator, it gives us 113 centimeters. Now the problem with this is that it's only half of a circle. So you're gonna have to divide this by 2. It's not a full circle. Okay, so half of that would be 56. 56.5, but because there's no decimals in our units, we just keep them that way. Okay. So I'm going to clear that, and I'm just going to go over your work with you real quick here. So I took a picture of your textbooks just because I know you don't have them. So all you're going to have to do is do number 1, 2, 5, and 6. So you're going to have to do it on the lined paper. I didn't leave any room for you there. So these are composite shapes. So make sure if you're asked to find the area that you cut them up in different pieces. So you're doing 1, 2, so those 2 there, 5, and 6. Okay, so don't do this bottom one. And then we've got our Pythagorean, which I'm going to come back to in the next video.